So what I'm working with today is, as Padre said, flipping the script from anger to acceptance. And when Padre Paul first asked me to take part in this month's class, once my nerves settled down, which they haven't completely, but it taught me that flipping from anger to acceptance was exactly what I was in the middle of. So obviously, I had to recognize the need for a change. And clearly, in my heart, I knew that it was necessary for change. I needed to change how I looked at the situation. I really needed to flip the script. I've been reading The Way of the Heart by Henry Nouwen, and there was a paragraph in his book where he's talking about anger that really spoke to me. He's actually speaking to the contemporary ministry, but it did speak to what I was experiencing, and I think it can apply to any of us. He writes, anger in particular seems close to a professional vice in the contemporary ministry. Pastors are angry at the leaders for not leading and at their followers for not following. They are angry at those who do not come to church for not coming, and angry at those who do come for coming without enthusiasm. They are angry at themselves for not being who they want to be. This is not an open, blatant, roaring anger, but an anger hidden behind the smooth word, the smiling face, and the polite handshake. It is a frozen anger, an anger which settles into a biting resentment and slowly paralyzes a generous heart. If there is anything that makes the ministry look grim and dull, it is this dark, insidious anger in the servants of Christ. When I read that, I could really see where I had often allowed my own anger to become frozen, the frozen anger that he was talking about, and that I definitely was not only in need of, but more than ready to flip that script and to release the anger and calcified thinking and to come to a deep inner acceptance. The next step for me was to acknowledge that I need help. Obviously, this situation had been going on for months without any meaningful or lasting change. So I really was ready to admit that clearly I needed help with this. That God hopefully had a solution if I would just really open up and ask for help to see it. So I acknowledged that I truly needed help, but my mind is still swirling, a million miles an hour. I was with the psalmist who wrote in Psalm 94:19, Lord, when doubt fills my mind and my heart is in turmoil, quiet me. And then I read in Jesus calling, come to me and rest. Give your mind a break from the habitual judging. You form judgments about this situation, this person, that person, yourself, even the weather, as if judging were your main function in life. But I created you first and foremost to know me and to live in rich communication with me. When you become preoccupied with passing judgment, you usurp my role. Well, that really got my attention, and I could see how the anger and resentment and judgment were all working together to keep me stuck in this habitual response to this situation that was not very pleasing to me, and I really wanted to change it. So I really had to open up to a new solution. So I talked about being open to the solution, and that's really important. But being open to the solution is not the solution. I knew I had action to take as well. I needed to pray, and I did. I prayed about my anger. I did my best to listen for guidance to help me flip my script to one of acceptance. I reread a daily word entry titled Acceptance. In the past, I may have resisted certain people and situations, insisting that they should have been different than they were. Living that way gave me no peace. Now I practice acceptance. My acceptance has its roots in my faith and trust in God, knowing I am always loved just the way I am.
Mm.
And I was also reminded how important the two-way street of communication is. You know, certainly prayers are vital, but it's equally important to remember to listen for the cues, the clues and guidance that come from Spirit, whether from a passage from Scripture or a beloved book, a conversation with a spiritual mentor, or just sitting in the silence. So with all of these, I'm really learning to improve my connection and my ability to listen and hear. I can say that I haven't completely flipped the script to acceptance in this situation, but I feel like I've made huge strides, and that with what I've learned, ultimately, with God's help, I can be victorious in that sense. So I just wanted to conclude with peace, because my goal in flipping the script is to get back into a feeling of peace and acceptance, to ultimately re-anchor peace in my heart, because that really is what is my connection to Spirit. Just the other day, I read a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. He said, "If in our daily life we can smile, if we can be peaceful and happy, not only we, but everyone will profit from it. This is the most basic kind of peace work."